He's a former United States House of Representatives member. We've talked to Tom several times in the past couple of years on American Family Radio. He is the head of the Rocky Mountain Foundation in Colorado, and so he still keeps up with several issues that are facing our country, and we want to talk to him right now. Tom, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's good to hear you guys' voices again.
Thank you. You still you live in the Denver area, or you live on into the Rockies there?
Well, a little bit of both. I live in Lakewood, Colorado, which is a suburb of Denver. But as I look out on my patio where I am right now, I see the foothills that are only about maybe a quarter of a mile from me. So it's the best of both worlds.
Do you ever lose? I mean, when you see something as grand as the Rocky Mountains and you look at it every day, does it ever lose? You ever take it for granted? You ever lose the wonder?
I'm sure it happens. I am running for governor of Colorado, and as a result, I am reminded almost daily that the state is something that is quite unique, and I must tell you, I just absolutely love it. I did this last time round. I was in a kind of quixotic campaign. It was only lasted 11 weeks, and I had to get in and run as a Constitution Party candidate because it was actually too late to run as a Republican because the Republicans had a catastrophe in the form of their candidate. I ended up with 38% of the vote in 11 weeks, and he ended up with 11% of the vote, the Republican, and the party came within one percentage point of becoming a minority party here in the state. At any rate, in the course of that event, I ended up, of course, going all over the state, and I've lived here all my life. But I must tell you, there were still parts of it I'd never seen, and every time I did these little tours and stuff, and I'd go into some of these little towns, especially up in northwestern Colorado, up by the Wyoming border. It was just breathtakingly beautiful, and I am blessed to both live here and to do something that makes me think about it more often than I otherwise would.
Well, I've been snow skiing. That's a huge industry in your state. I've been snow skiing 3 times, all in Colorado, and then been out there a couple times during the summer months, and it's just like, especially from somebody who's not from a mountainous state, to go see that, as I say, in the Rockies are a different level than most mountain places in the country. So it's just absolutely stunning. All right, we want to talk to you about some issues here, but what are you working on right now?
Well, as I say, I've got a singular focus now on being governor of Colorado. And by the way, before I forget, it is tancredoforgovernor.org. Okay. I got to do that every time I'm on the radio. I'm told, or my staff goes crazy. But I don't know if you guys have seen what's happening in Colorado, and it's not just unique to this state. But about 9 years ago, there was a group that started here. There was a fellow by the name of Tim Gill who founded something called Quark and sold it for hundreds and hundreds of zillions of dollars. Another guy by the name of Jared Polis, also a .com multimillionaire and in the hundreds of millions, and a lady by the name of Pat Stryker, who's a billionaire. Her father operates something called Stryker Industries, medical devices. And all of the 2 men are homosexual. Her brother is, Pat Stryker's brother is, and they were trying to advance the idea of gay marriage and couldn't figure out a way to do it in a traditional fashion in terms of going on the ballot or trying to influence the legislature here. And so they devised a plan, and they developed an organization called CODA, Colorado Democracy Alliance. It is by far the most powerful, the most influential, and dangerous from our point of view organization that has ever come along. In this, as I say, 9 years ago this started. In 2 election cycles, just 4 years, we went from a state that had 2 Republican members of the Senate, 5 out of 7 members of the House of Representatives, a governor, both houses of the legislature, almost every statewide elected official being Republican, to exactly the mere opposite in 2 election cycles, 4 years. Now, this is unprecedented. We went from a very red state to a very blue state. George Bush didn't help, but it was not all Iraq and the economy and that sort of thing. It was certainly the efforts of this organization. They started 27 501c3s, 527s, PACs, all under the radar, all of them integrated, all of them with a coordinated effort to deal with various aspects of the media, legal challenges, a huge outfit that deals with nothing but a bunch of lawyers suing Republican candidates. It is absolutely a brilliant scheme. In fact, one so brilliant that it was there are several books that have been written about it. One is called The Blueprint. Fred Barnes has written about it in the Weekly Standard. He called it the Colorado Model. And it has now morphed, maybe I should say metastasized, out of Colorado and is all over and going into Texas this year. It is really, well, for one thing, they have more money than anybody could possibly spend on politics. I know that's hard to imagine, but they are enormously wealthy. And you have to admit that when you combine your own sexuality with a political purpose, you have a powerful motivating force, more powerful than, balanced budgets or just about anything else you can imagine. And so they get support from all over the country. The homosexual lobby, as you know, is perhaps, I'm not sure if the NEA would match it in terms of power, but I think that the homosexual lobby is more powerful. Certainly it is worldwide. You may recall.
No, they're more powerful. I think they're more powerful for this reason, because of the Hollywood connection.
Sure, the pop culture. The pop culture entirely, not just Hollywood, but music and TV. And you remember the Pope complained about a homosexual lobby in the Vatican just a little bit ago.
Yeah, they're very powerful. They're everywhere, and they can pack a punch. And also, I was in a congressman's office back a few months ago, and in Washington, where you used to work. And this was a conservative congressman, and they had, because of their affiliation with the American Family Association, which is us, and American Family Radio, the gay lesbian groups had got on them and just called them and harassed them for like a week or two. Got on their Facebook, was promoting all kind of vulgarities and obscenities. They were having to, constantly watch their Facebook. I mean, these people, I'm not talking about all of them, but I'm talking about there's a group of them that are radical homosexual, lesbian activists, and they are, ruthless, quite frankly. And so they are very aggressive. And so what it does is it silences people. It intimidates people into silence. And that's, because especially if you've never experienced that before. You know what I'm saying?
They can be,
So
you're
anyway.
right. Well, and the thing is, as I've observed it, I remember I was in church. I attend an evangelical Presbyterian church here in Colorado, Cherry Hills community. And it's a very large church. There's probably 7,000 or 8,000 members, a couple of thousand in each service. And my wife and I were sitting there last week, as a matter of fact, and an observably gay couple, these 2 men, were sitting in front of us. And I say observably gay because of the way they interacted with each other. But the one, at least, was extremely involved in what was happening in the service, and seemed devout, I guess is the best way to describe it. And as they were sitting right in front of us, so it's pretty hard to avoid looking. And I was thinking to myself, I am sure, or as sure as I can be anyway, I guess, that he was truthful in his devotion. And so I have no, and although maybe uncomfortable at first when I first sat down and when they came, I guess, and sat down, it sort of after a while it didn't bother me so much, but I kept thinking about what our pastor has said over and over again, and that is, you can love the sinner and hate the sin, but I keep in political terms keep thinking, I really wouldn't care. They do what they want to do. They answer to God just like I have to for my actions. But why do they have to be against everything I believe in, even outside of their sexuality? I mean,
right.
I am going to have to argue with them. I'm going to have to debate them. I'm going to have to be opposed to them because of their political views on everything else, for the most part,
right,
on government, and so naturally you're going to be at odds with them. But they always want to take it to that level, to the issue of their sexuality, and here I'm fighting them on everything else. But you
resent, when you're being called a homophobe and a hater and a bigot and all those things. They throw those names around. Not all of them, but again, a lot of them. And certainly the groups do, and they try to label you with that, and you're just going, can we get past that, painting me as Adolf Hitler, so we can talk for a minute, about things, and have a reasonable conversation. Just because somebody's opposed to two men getting married does not make them a hate monger. And I'm going, and when that happened, I was going, really? When I heard this the other day, I was going, so you got 7 million hate mongers in California alone. Because that's how many people voted for traditional marriage in 2008. 7 million in one of the most liberal states in America. 7 million people, and when the marriage amendment won 52 to 48. Voted for a traditional marriage. You can't tell me there's 7 million bigots in California,
Right.
So anyway, but how they choose to frame the discussion, the debate, and how they try to characterize us as in that way, I quite frankly, I think that's discrediting to them, because I was talking to a gentleman from the New York Times. He was in our office about 2 years ago. Year and a half ago or so, and he was doing a story on us, and he didn't agree with us ideologically, and he certainly wasn't a conservative, but he was writing a piece for us for the New York Times, and I said, this group's the other Southern Poverty Law Center out of Montgomery. They refer to us as a hate group, talking about AFA and AFR, and I said, we're not a hate group. You're here. You see us interacting. You hear what we talk about. I'll answer any question you have about our ministry. We're not a hate group. We don't. We're not. They tried to liken us to a neo-Nazi group, or a skinhead, or one of these KKK types. And so he said to me, "I know you're not. I know you're." In other words, I know that you've been smeared and mischaracterized. You have legitimate disagreements with these people on issues, but you don't hate anybody. So anyway, I think it backfires on them sometimes, Tom, when they want to use these kind of over-the-top descriptions of Christians to want to paint us into a corner that we don't belong in.
Well, it remains to be seen, I guess. All I know is that the wealth that they have accumulated and their willingness to expend it in the political arena is what is the most, I guess, worrisome.
They don't have families. They don't have children to take care of. They got money. You know what I'm saying?
And as I said earlier, when you combine your own sexuality with a political agenda, what is there a greater motivating factor around? I can't think of it necessarily in politics. You know what I mean? What can get you active
Right.
in politics
Right.
to